Hi, Clint.
Hi, Chris. I got you here. Sorry about the confusion.
Yeah, I'm sorry too.
No,
Uh,
it's all good. We got it. We made it happen. Look at you. How's everything going?
Pretty good, thank you. Pretty good.
Well,
How about you?
oh, wonderful. Here it's summertime in the United States. Obviously, we are, and here in the Midwest where I live, it's like 80 degrees. Very nice. We're not experiencing the high heat we usually have. I know you've traveled the world and it can get pretty hot here in the summertime. We're doing
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I know. I used to live in Vegas as well, so I think that's even hotter.
When did you live? How long did you live in Vegas for?
Probably, well, over a period, but like maybe 2 years over a period of that time.
Wow.
Uh, when was it? I don't know when.
So,
Uh, 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, something like
a
that.
lot of people have moved to Vegas. People that used to live in LA either moved to Nashville or Las Vegas, it seems like.
Yeah, that's right. It seems to be that way.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you, Chris. Chris Slade, one of the great rock drummers of all time. I think we have a pattern going here because last week we had Carmine Appice on the show. He's like right from your era. You guys have been around about the same amount of time and just two of the great
Yeah, we're the
drummers.
we're the
So
same age too.
yeah, I know. I looked on Wikipedia and I was like, oh, that's interesting too. And we won't say what that is because, you only turn 50 once and that's where you guys are at. You guys are 50
Yeah,
forever.
well, yeah, keep it quiet though, won't you?
Exactly. Well, you're as busy as ever, Chris, and I'm so excited for the new Chris Slade Timeline album. It's called Timescape. It's just came out a couple of days ago on Brave Worlds Records. I mean, this is so great to see. Kind of, it seems to me like the culmination of your career of 60 years in rock and roll, all coming out in these songs, and it's a double album. Just kind of talk about what the reception's been like and why was now the time to release this double album.
It's great. I don't have time to assess the what the reaction is at the moment. It's been out not long.
Couple
Uh,
days.
yes, just the weekend.
Yep.
So it's too early to know anything really from myself. Um, so I go to the record company and find out about that. Brave Words Records.
Yes.
Um, so it came about because I just wanted, first of all, with Timeline, Chris Slade Timeline, the band.
Yes.
I wanted a band that could play my life, really,
Yeah.
all the stuff. And I wanted musicians that could change from ACDC to Uriah Heap or even Tom Jones if needed,
Yep.
Um, and some musicians just wouldn't want to at all, wouldn't even want to. I knew these guys before they were in a band and they used to play covers and they were like doing Genesis and Kansas and covers like that, but really, really perfectly. So I knew they would be perfect for my band, so to speak. So I approached them and they said yes. So I was very pleased with that. We've been together 10, 12 years now.
Yes. And this is a great lineup of musicians, like you talked about. I mean, just kind of talk about putting these guys together because I think, especially with a lot of these songs, and especially some of the ACDC songs, like Paul Davis, Bun, as we call him, is his vocal style. It's like he can do so many different things. He can kind of go into the gravelly, Brian Johnson style voice, or he can do a lot of other things too. Just talk about Paul and kind of what he's meant to this project.
Yeah, well, he's great, actually. We have two singers, though.
Yeah,
We have
that's right.
also Stevie G, who
Yeah,
plays bass
bass. Yep, he's the
in the
bassist
band.
too. Yep.
And all the like Mantra Man's Earth Band tracks, Uriah Heap, stuff like that. Uh, Bun does, and he is Bun, by the way.
Yeah.
um, he's the ACDC voice. He's also on, uh, oh God, a couple of tracks.
Yeah, he does.
Back
Is
with a
it?
Vengeance and Sundance
Yes.
on the album. And he sort of sings them with his normal voice, if you like, if that's a want of a better word, rather than his ACDC voice. He's also great on stage. Uh, he's a great personality on stage, and he stage dives. That old-fashioned thing, you know.
That's you should be doing that. I think maybe we should get
And
you
he's
up
about
there.
the trouble is he's about 200 pounds.
That's what could go wrong there. Well, you know, Chris, when I listen to this and I have gone through this whole thing, it really reminds me of the importance of ACDC's Razor's Edge album for me, because that was my first ACDC album. I'm 40
All
years
right.
old. I was. And so obviously I knew ACDC, but that came out whenever I was a kid, when I was first learning music. And I remember seeing that cover, and I remember hearing, Money Talks, and I remember hearing Thunderstruck, and those songs that to me, that was like the genesis of ACDC for me. And then the Donington live album. And I remember seeing you on the back, and just like the picture of you like is etched in my mind. So like, it's weird to say that like you were my ACDC drummer growing up. So those songs are really important, and that they're well represented here on this Timescape album.
Yeah, yeah. The record company wanted some ACDC, and of course I'd be stupid not to put it on there because people will want it, you know. And they're great songs, so you know. So is the Asia song, which is free, and July Morning, one of the classics for Uriah Heap, you know. So it goes well with Thunderstruck and things like that that are
Yeah.
on this CD. So we're not a tribute band. We happen to play ACDC music, but nobody wears shorts, you know, not even me on drums. Um, so people think, oh, we're going to get the ACDC. We do half of ACDC on stage, and we do half the other stuff, if you like. And we play for 2 hours every night. And people are only disappointed when we announce it's the last song of the evening. And then it's like, whoa, you know.
Boo.
Yeah, exactly.
That has to mean a lot to you, from being in this industry and so many impactful bands, so many big tours, stories that could fill an arena, to be able to unleash this timeline, if you will, of your life and of your career, and to
Yeah,
have people so excited about all of it.
that's where the name came from, actually.
Right.
You know, of course, I thought, what can it be? Chris Slade's calendar was timeline. That's what I'll
Perfect.
call it.
I wish I'd have thought of that.
I wish I had. Yeah. No.
You did.
Oh yeah. Now I remember. You're right. You're right.
And I love the cover, Chris. You can't see it now, but I'm pulling it up. Whenever the interview's there, I'll have the cover pulled up that we can see it.
I'll
And
do
this
it
cover is
again.
very, very powerful. I'm a fan of, like, I'm a visual person. When I see those reds and oranges in the fire, and sort of that like mystical time clock in the background, and I see you kind of standing there, a silhouette, man, it's powerful stuff. And it just takes you on an odyssey, if you will. Who came up with that cover?
It was the record company, actually.
Okay. It's really
My
cool.
my daughter says, "How come you got hair on the front of it?" I say, "I didn't shave that day."
That's right. There is. And that is, it's very becoming. But that's sort of your signature look, your whole career. Like, that's what I picture you as. I can't imagine what hair would like. When did you kind of start just like shaving it off?
1982.
Right. So you're just like, it's a lot easier, right?
Yeah. And it was, I was working with Gary Newman at the time, and it sort of suited his image of being a bit techno and stuff. Nobody had bald
Oh,
heads in those days. Very few people had bald heads. Very
right.
few. There were some bald drummers, not many, one or two. And I thought, I'm gonna take it all off. So that's what I did. Actually, my missus started it. She went with an electric shaver. She went zip, and it was gone.
Well, you got to
Yeah,
do what she wants,
and
whatever.
and so the rest of it had to come off.
Well, it's
I
like such
did.
a signature look, and it's become like it's like etched in stone for you. Like that's what I remember. Like I said, that Donington sleeve insert with you like just crashing down and like Chris Slade right here. And so, like I said, you were my ACDC drummer. Obviously, learned Phil Rudd, great and done so much, obviously, but that shows you what like an image can do. And like I just this album is so great, and it is available. You can get 2 CDs, 2 vinyls. It's available digitally. Chris, you can get it any way you want it. That's pretty cool through Brave Words Records.
Yeah, that's right. Brave Words Records, definitely. Um, I was very pleased to get this with Brave Words because they're a worldwide company. So I'm working on South America. We work all over Europe at the moment, um, and we're hoping to get to Canada. Now, whether we'll get to the States or not, I don't know because of visas.
Yeah.
Um, I'm okay because I've got a green card, but the guys um, just they got to go on work permits, and they're very difficult to get them in time. There's been horror stories of your visa's turning up 2 months after the tour is supposed to
Yep.
finish. You know, so I don't know what that's about, but
I've heard
you
this
know.
from other musicians, from some Swedish
Yeah,
bands, some German bands that have, and I tell them all the same thing. I was like, just come up through our southern border, and you come right in. It's all good. It's open.
yeah,
At least for like 5 or 6 more months, it's just a wide open. So
yeah, yeah.
I
Let's
don't
play
know.
Mexico City, guys, and we'll go to the States from there.
Exactly. I see. I think I got something going here. Well, Chris, I got to ask you because the last time that I saw ACDC was the Rocker Bus Tour here in Kansas City, and it was kind of a weird show because I think Brian had a death of a mate, and he had to like move the show up a couple days, and so that tour had to be just really strange in a lot of ways because you had no Malcolm for the first time. Obviously, he'd passed away a couple
Yeah,
of years prior, and then
yeah.
you have Brian
Unfortunately,
having
yeah.
yes, and then Brian having his issues. So you wind up with no Malcolm Young, no Brian Johnson, but Axl Rose in there. Like it was just a crazy tour. Was it? What was that experience like?
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm used to it in this business.
Right.
It's often pretty crazy. You got to be crazy to work in it. So that's my take on it. If you're not crazy, it'll drive you mad.
Right.
You know.
But Axl did such a good
So
job, I thought.
Axel, I think honestly, he did a great job,
Mm,
tremendous job. He's not Brian. He wasn't trying to be Brian,
no.
and he wasn't, and he also was not trying to be Bon. He's got a lot of respect for Bon Scott. I know he has. And ACDC. Um, he said famously, I think, on when he was back with Guns N' Roses, went back with them, and he said between songs, he talks a bit between songs. He said, with ACDC, I was sent to boot camp. They told me, if you screw up, Axel, you get the boot.
Oh, did you tell him that? That's funny.
No, not me personally, but Angus and management would
I was
have.
gonna say Angus. I know that one. Well, while you're working on this project, Timescape, were you disappointed at all that to not get the call for this ACDC tour that they're doing right now?
No, you know what? Would I have done it? Is the next question. I would say yes, I would do it, of course. Um, Angus probably wanted a change and thought maybe I couldn't do it. I'm the same age as Brian,
Right.
so you can't be ageist and say,
No.
"Oh, Slade's too old now," because he's spring chicken himself. You see. He's,
Yeah,
he's only
that,
about he's only about 69, I think. I'm not quite sure how old he is, 66, 69, something like that. But yeah, so he couldn't be ageist on me. Um, so I can only assume I know Matt Log, by the way. I used to know him when I lived in California before I lived in Vegas.
right.
um, so I used to see Matt when he and talk to him many times when we have mutual friends who had a band in a place called Pancho's in Manhattan Beach in California, and they used to play every Friday. So I used to go and sometimes sit in, but always went to see them, watch them, and they're a fantastic band. And Matt was one of the drummers that sat in. So I saw him a few times down there, and we talked, and he told me about Alanis offered him the tour in the beginning, Jagged Little Pill tour, and he wanted to concentrate on his studio work in LA. So he said no to Alanis. So he might have learned his lesson this time.
Well, for you, do you feel like as many iconic acts as you've been a part of, that to be able to do the Chris Slade timeline and to be able to do albums like this, that there's a different level of satisfaction for you, that you can kind of all encompass
Yes.
your whole career, and it's like you don't have to answer to anybody.
Yes, I don't mind answering to anybody. It's not that at all. It's that this is a very satisfying project, um, and the ability to write melodies actually only came to me about 2.5 years ago. Before then, I'd never tried really writing a melody, and so that turned into the ability to write bass lines, or at least to suggest bass lines to the guys, and vocal harmonies and string parts and all the rest of it, and even guitar lines sometimes, because we have two guitars as well, because which is the keyboard player, Mike Clark,
Yep.
plays guitar, along with James Corford, who plays lead guitar wonderfully, by the way.
Mm.
If you've heard it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, great.
So that's another reason, I wanted those guys for this band. And they've also, Mike and James, have played together musically since they were 11 years old, and they're 35 now. So they're a really tight unit, on stage.
And
And they're they're just formidable on stage. And people are really, I've seen it, I can tell by their faces, and they've told me that they're in awe of this band.
oh,
And so am I, by the way,
yeah.
because they're
Yes.
so damn good, honestly.
Yeah, I'm seeing footage right now. Those guys also don't look bad without their shirts off. Like they can pull that off on stage. They're like you got your bass player just shirtless, and like that's pretty admirable. Like not everybody can pull that off.
That was
So
because it was so hot on stage.
where was that?
Actually, it was down the south of France,
Okay.
and it had been about 120 degrees during the
Oh
day,
my God. Oh.
and that was the reason he took his shirt off. It was bloody hot.
Oh, well, you can go to chrisslade.com right now and you can check out the footage. Check out, there's like a video trailer for the entire album. You can check out all the songs and the album itself out through Brave Words right now. You mentioned we were talking about live performances. What do you have dates on planned right now? Like, what can people expect for live performances coming up?
We work in Europe, all over Europe,
Right.
um, all the time, and we have for 10, 12 years. Um, Last weekend, I was in Lyon, France. Actually, it was the weekend before. I was in Lyon, France. In 2 weeks, I go to Italy for a weekend. Germany after that, 3 months ago, we were in where were we? Czechoslovakia or Chechnya, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, Poland, we were in about, it wasn't more than a month ago. We're all over the place like that. We've been in Spain. Um, so, we just drive all over Europe, and we drive. We don't fly. It's not that I'm afraid of flying, but when you fly, you can't use your own equipment. And I want to use the Rock or Bust drum kit, which is DW drums,
Oh,
and
wow.
they're wonderful. They just to play something else is like another kit. It's like somebody finding another guitar or a piano, and the piano's slightly out of tune, and
That's true.
but you've got to use it. So that's the problem with renting equipment. Everybody knows that. All musicians know that. Um, so we get there when we get there, and we leave when we leave, and we can take all our gear with us. So that's why we've been doing the van forever, and I love it because it's retro.
Yeah. Very old school. I love that.
Very. With ACDC, it was private planes. Uh, I'm in a van.
And why not? Chris, I got to ask you this because one of my favorite drummers of all time is Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden. And he
Oh yeah, I
recently,
know Nico.
Nico's like my guy, man. And, he plays in such a weird kit that you can't ever see him play in. So I don't know if that's even really him on stage, but he talked about how because of some health issues that he had over the last year, that he's had to play songs differently. He's had to redo the way he does certain elements of Caught Somewhere in Time when they play that. Is that something that just is natural that comes with age for a drummer, that you have to play songs differently? Is Nico admitting that, kind of like, wow, that's really means a lot that he's able to come out and say that?
Well, I mean, 5 years ago, I had a mini stroke.
Mm,
Um, and people think I'm a bit drunk, but it's just my slurred speech bit. But I can use that as a cover to get drunk.
that's true. Love that.
um, and you have to adapt, especially when you're recuperating. I can still say recuperating. I must have another drink.
That's
Um,
perfect.
so it does affect you, especially when you're getting over it.
Mm,
But I wouldn't play unless I wouldn't like to shortchange people. I wouldn't like to shortchange the band.
right.
They are so good that yes, I adapted in the beginning 5-6 years ago, but there's no need now. I just play,
That's great.
and they have helped me so much. Um, so I feel for Nico going through what he did, and I've seen some footage of him playing. And he does great.
Yeah. Again, if that's really even him, because his kit, he's down in a bunker and he's a madman. You can barely see him.
Yeah,
I love, I love it.
I've
I
known
can't,
him. I've known him for about 50 years, actually. We're not friends. We're not big friends or anything,
right.
but I've known him, and he's funny as hell. He's a
Yeah.
funny guy.
That's, it's so great. I love Iron Maiden. That's like my band.
My
You,
band love Iron Maiden too,
that good. Well, hey, that's
which
great.
pisses me off a bit.
Yeah. Where's the respect? No respect at all. You told a story in a recent interview, Chris, that I have to ask you about. You've already told the story, but for our audience that hasn't heard it, I'm a diehard Elvis fan. My dad is a beyond diehard Elvis fan to this day. You turned down a gig to play with Elvis. Was it during his Vegas residency? You turned it down
It was going to be his first Vegas residency.
at the
Yes,
Continental in Vegas. Yeah.
I didn't want to turn him down. Yeah, sorry, Elvis, I'm too busy, man.
You were in a
God.
band at the time though.
I was with Tom Jones at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. You were Tom Jones.
And I was going to do, you know, they knew that I was touring with Tom. Elvis knew because Tom and he were friends. And we went to a party that Elvis threw for Tom and us. We were called the Squires in those days. So we went along to Elvis's party, and he was very, very nice. I met him before. That was the second or third time I met him. And he was really charming, as he always was. This is pre-drugs of any kind, you know.
Mm.
And he hadn't worked for years, and he did that special. I saw it the other night on TV, where he had the leather jumpsuit on.
Oh,
so
the
to speak.
comeback special in '68. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that was about the time he asked me.
Wow.
So then, I said, of course, I'd love to. Who wouldn't? Wow. So we were he said, keep in touch. Then I kept in touch with Joe Esposito, which was his right-hand man. And the right-hand man of Colonel Parker as well, who was his manager.
Yep.
And I was on the road with Tom, and it kept getting extended. And so I could tell Joe or tell Elvis that the tour was extended, and oh, don't worry, we'll get you. Okay, you can't make the first couple of weeks of rehearsal, but we'll get somebody else in, and you come along and do it after. You're capable of that. I know you are, which I was. Because it went like that, and at the end, I think Tom and his manager Gordon Mills went to Colonel Parker and said, "Hey, man, you can't steal our drummer." They didn't want me to leave at all, of course. You know, I said, it was only for a month. Of course, it would have turned into 10 years, but never mind. I should have just said to Tom, honestly, because we had both starved together in London. All of us, Tom Jones and the Squires, had literally starved. We used to eat every other day because we couldn't afford to eat every day. Because we couldn't get work in London. We were doing well in South Wales before we went to London. I was earning double what my father was earning, working in a factory all day. So we were doing quite well. And so we used our savings, went to London, couldn't get arrested.
Wow.
Tom was told when he was 23 years old, 23, that he was over the hill and he should give up and go back to Wales. 23. Because Herman's Hermits was coming up and they were much younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was told. He did not give up. He's probably got the best natural voice ever born, I think, because he's never had a lesson. And that's the way he was like that when he was 70. He sung like that when he was 17 years old. He's still doing shows. He's 88, I think, now. Very much up there. And he just bought an album out last year. So, somebody who said at 23, give up because you're over the hill now, was
unreal.
Just plain stupid.
Wow. It's incredible. And to see where that you have been around, you and I talked about having Carmine on the show last week, that you guys have been around for the genesis of what we know as rock and roll to hard rock. How would you say, like, just drumming, the rock drummer has changed through that time? Because everybody, kind of thinks about like John Bonham coming out in the late 60s and early 70s, Carmine with Vanilla Fudge, yourself, and now you think about like
Carmine will tell you.
He did. And
he will tell you that he taught John Bonham everything he knew.
He did say that.
He did?
Something along those lines. Yeah. But I mean, how has it
Um,
changed for you? Because like you see now, everybody talks about just hitting, how important it is just to hit hard, and just the ferocity and the thunder that a drum kit can create in a heavy metal audience. But back then, there were people still playing sideways like this, when you're coming up.
yes, things have changed. I was blessed with my ability to switch to the music I'm playing, whether it's jazz or whether it's heavy rock. Uh, so I'm literally blessed to have that ability, and I'm
Yeah.
so pleased about it. Um, and you have to, because I started listening to jazz because that's all there was around for
Mm.
drummers. If you wanted to hear a good drummer, you could only go to jazz. Don't forget, this was 50s,
Yeah.
1950s. There was very little around on the radio, anywhere really, even on records. And you couldn't afford a record anyway back then. Um, so you had the radio, which was virtually useless. Um, and then a thing called Radio Luxembourg came along, which is a pirate radio run out of the country of Luxembourg and in Europe. And everybody tuned into that, like the Beatles, the Stones, everybody listened to Radio Luxembourg
Wow.
probably every night. And that's where I got my musical education from, was listening to that. And
Hmm.
so did many other drummers, like Ringo Starr. Um,
Yeah.
and Cozy Powell as well. I know because I used to know them. And, uh, and Buddy Rich was the man to go to. And he probably still is. A lot of drummers could learn a lot listening to Buddy Rich. I know a lot do. Um, some even like it.
Mm. That's the rumor.
Um,
Wow.
so, I started with jazz and then I played rock and roll with Tom Jones because he would sing Little Richard and Shirley Lewis and stuff like that. So I started from the ground up doing rock and roll, and it developed into a jazzy style, which paid me in good stead when Tom moved into cabaret and started using the 34-piece band.
Huh.
And I was able to switch. And I've always sort of adapted my drumming to whatever band I'm in. Also I had to play with Asia for
Yeah.
like 5 to 7 years.
More progressive type band. Yeah.
Yeah. And Man from Man's Earth Band, which we tried to be a progressive band. Um, so, I was blessed with that technique,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy to still doing what I do at my age, and I've been
Yeah.
doing this now for 60 years. So I always said I wanted to be a drummer all my life. I haven't succeeded yet. But
True. Thank goodness. I I hope you never succeed, Chris. And I
yeah,
can't
same.
I can't tell you what it's meant here to have you on the show. The new album, the Chris Slade Timeline, Timescape, it is available now. Once again, I want to make sure everybody goes to chrisslade.com. You can get it
I'll do
there.
it
You can
again.
get the link there. Your stories, your lineage, your legacy, it is so entrenched, and it's for people like me. It's the very essence of why we do what we do, why I do a show like this, why I love music is because of people like you. And so thank you for all the years of great memories and this new album to really show people your wonderful career. Thank you, Chris, so much. I really can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Clint, very much indeed. I appreciate what you say. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, thanks. And again, best of luck with the album and the shows all coming up, and we'll be in touch for sure. And if you ever get to America, we will link up for sure. Sound
Oh,
good?
I'll make a point of calling you.
There you go. Thank you, Chris, so much. We'll talk soon.
Okay, mate.
All right.
Bye
Take
for now,
care.
and thank you.